Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get started. It's right at just a minute past. And I am Carolyn Rasmussen, and I'm a senior director. I've been with Pampered Chef for getting really close to 12 years. And I am so excited to have y'all in my kitchen. I have been cooking away at prepping most of this so that we don't have to sit here and watch the boring part, just hoping the balsamic vinegar doesn't boil over. I'm going to make two recipes I pulled off the internet that I have never made before. So you guys, you don't have to eat it. So hopefully it's really, really good. Always nothing like trying something new in front of a crowd, right? But I like to live on the edge. So we're going to do butternut squash pasta salad with Brussels sprouts, pecans, and cranberries. And then we're going to do caramelized apples. Now, I picked both of these because they were kind of a unique recipe to have for Thanksgiving as a side dish, but looked really yummy. And honestly, they were really super easy. It just took me a little bit to organize everything. So I'm going to start with the butternut squash pasta salad. And I've got pretty much everything ready to go. But I want to show you guys a couple of things before I put it together. So I did roast the Brussels sprouts and roast the butternut squash ahead of time. And I did buy a whole fresh butternut squash. And I did not buy the pre-cut. And the reason I did that is because it's a lot cheaper. But let me show you guys why it's not so hard to actually deal with the butternut squash. How many people have bought butternut squash or been afraid to buy butternut squash because it's such a pain to deal with? Okay. Now, if you have the right tools, it's not such a pain. So here's, oh, come off. Okay, here's the top of the butternut squash that I didn't use. Okay, the first thing that's always a challenge, right, is the peeling of the butternut squash. Well, don't use a knife. Use our serrated peeler. Now they come in pretty colors. This one's the old style, but they have pretty colors now. And watch this. Okay, you ready? There we go. That's it. I'm peeling the butternut squash. Okay, how easy is that? That's right tool cool. For the right job.
Love it.
Isn't that cool? I'm just throwing it all over the place, but anyway, you guys get the idea. Then use a big knife. I use my chef's knife so I can rock it back and forth on both sides, and I cut it up and I cubed it. Not hard, okay? So that's how you deal with the butternut squash. Now, to put this together, I tossed the butternut squash, grab the recipe, in olive oil, maple syrup, and ground cinnamon. And of course, I used our Kajorte cinnamon. I never can say that word. And then for the Brussels sprouts, I tossed them in olive oil and salt. And that's it. They both roasted on the pan in the oven at 400 for about 20 minutes, and they look amazing. So I'm going to grab our newest, largest insulated serving bowl. Now, if I was serving this to a group that was here waiting, I would actually have hot water in here, getting it hot to the core, just like the old days. Remember the thermoses before you took your coffee to work, and you would put hot stuff in them first to get the core hot? That's what I would do, is I would put hot water in here and then pour it out and dry it off before I put the food in there. And that way your food doesn't get cooled off trying to heat your serving bowl. Okay, so here it is. All ready for this easy recipe. Pull it out of the oven. Here is how the butternut squash and the Brussels sprouts turned out. Yummy, amazing, and easy. They're just on our this is the half sheet pan, and it's with the parchment paper. Okay.
Carolyn, do you always put parchment paper on there? Okay.
Do what?
Do you always put parchment paper on?
The recipe said to do that, and I think that helps keep the squash. Keep sliding, I can't grab it. And the Brussels sprouts from sticking too bad. If I did it on stone, I wouldn't have put the parchment paper on there. But I'm kind of, shocker, I'm a little analytical. So I always follow the recipe pretty close the first time. And it said to do that, and I was just going to see what it did. I bet you could do it without the parchment paper too, looking at it. It doesn't seem like it did much, but it did honestly absorb some of the moisture. So
Carolyn, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Vivian, you need to go on mute because you keep taking over the screen. So if you don't know how to mute, you should be on the bottom left, and you can just mute yourself.
Here, Donna, let me see if I can make you co-host.
That would be great.
That would be nice if I could see that, but.
Oh, she's muted now. So go ahead. Just go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay. Because I'm on my portal and doesn't have all the same settings. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this back in the oven for now. Okay. So in here, I have the butternut squash. I have the Brussels sprouts, and I'm going to add the pecans. Now for the pecans, it said to roast them in the oven. I said, why would I want to do that? I already got the Brussels sprouts and everything in there. I used my air fryer. So 350, which is the bake setting. And instead of 5 minutes, it took me 3 minutes, and they did not burn on my small stone bar pan. Toss it in. And then I have to add the cranberries. That's a half a cup of cranberries and 8 ounces of bow tie pasta. Y'all, our new Brilliance with the straining lid is awesome. So I already strained it. It's already cooked. Here we go. 2 lonely pastas at the bottom. I'll pull them out. Oops. Well, there's one for the dog. Okay. Stir that up. And the only other thing that goes in here is the sauce. And you have a couple options on the sauce. It calls for a balsamic vinegar drizzle. And you can either make your own, which is what I did, which you have to cook down the balsamic vinegar. Or you can just do a balsamic vinegar and olive oil. Or you can do a store-bought. So I thought this was a perfect use. Where's the pot holder? For our cast iron milk pot. How cool is that, right? So can you guys see it's thick now because I cooked down it was just honey and balsamic vinegar. And I let it cook. It took about 30 minutes maybe. And it sat there and cooked that down. Pour that on here. It was 1 cup of balsamic vinegar and I believe a 1/4 cup of honey. Ooh, boy, that sucker's hot. Okay. Toss it together. Oops, I got a spoon already. Okay. And that's it. It's going to be sweet and flavorful and with the roasted flavor, with the roasted nuts. You get that really rich color from the balsamic vinegar. And sorry you guys can't come eat this, but check that out. So is that not the coolest side dish? Totally different than you normally make at Thanksgiving, right? Okay, so here's the next one. We'll see if we can get this done. How we're doing on time. Oh, fantastic. Okay, put the lid on here. Let that stay warm. Okay. Now, who grew up with baked apples? My mom used to always do baked apples in the oven. She'd stuff, brown sugar in the middle and cinnamon and stick them in the oven. They took forever because it was the whole apple. So we're going to do caramelized apples on the stovetop. And you cook them on high heat, but because we have such amazing cookware, I'm not going to do it on high. I'll probably do it on medium high. I do have gas, so it does tend to get pretty hot. In the bowl is red and green apples, sliced up with brown sugar, cinnamon, and lemon juice. And you're supposed to let it sit for 15 minutes to let some of the juice come out of the apples. Okay, so it's been sitting there. But guess how I did these apples? You guys might be having a sneak peek by checking out what I have sitting over here. Our amazing mandolin, rapid prep mandolin. It is cook's best friend in the kitchen. I love it. I could probably use it for just about every recipe because it's amazing. So I played with it a little bit to decide the best way. I did core it with our core and then cut it in half. But we're going to leave the peel on. That's where all the nutrients and flavor are anyway. So I'm going to just take the apple. I have it on 8, which is nearly the thickest you can get, and slices. And I'm going to put it in like this so it lays on the curve. And then put in the plunger. And I just did the 4 apples that way. Now, some of them, because the way they core is, are a whole slice. And I just got my knife and cut those in half. But that was so much faster than trying to cut an apple myself. And they're all even thickness, which makes a difference when you're trying to cook. If you don't have them at even thickness, then they're going to cook and you're going to have some mushy ones and some crispy ones. So there we go. That's a whole apple all done. Super easy. So y'all get creative with this. If you have the rapid prep, or if you don't have it, put it on your wish list, host a party, get it yourself. Okay, so here's how we do this. I'm going to, hopefully the camera will follow me over here a little bit to my stove. And we're going to just, it says to add the apples. I've got the butter melting right here. This is our 12-inch non-stick with the removable handle. Okay, and it says to add the apples, but not the juice. Okay, so we're going to let it create its own caramelized sauce in there. So I'm going to pull these out of here, but not the sauce, and try to only put them in a single layer. That might be easier said than done. And if you become a consultant with us, you can choose your kit, and you can get a stoneware kit, or trying to remember some of the other ones. You can get the grill and griddle. You can get the quick cooker, but they all have a good selection of tools. The 200 and the 250 include that rapid prep mandolin. So that is a great way to get that rapid prep in your kitchen. And I guarantee you're going to want that in your kitchen for Christmas, because it's nothing like making stuffing and all the other Christmas side dishes and having that rapid prep in your kitchen. And then you can have fun experimenting with recipes like the rest of us. Okay, let me finish getting these in here. It's going to take forever if I keep messing with them. And then I just have to cook these for a few minutes on each side, and they will caramelize. And then you put honey in after you take it off the heat. So I'm going to let these simmer while we chat a minute. Those 2 recipes went really quick, like I was hoping. And then I will put them in the medium-sized insulated serving bowl, or depends on how I'm going to do it. I was reading about some neat recipes to use this on. You can use it as a fruit on chicken or pork, which would be really yummy. You can use it on top of ice cream. How cool would that be? Pick your favorite ice cream and then pour that on top, because it's going to have a great caramelized sauce. Or you could just eat it like I'm going to, fresh, and relive my memories from home with a baked apple, but not having to wait on the oven for over an hour to cook my baked apple, because it's going to have the exact same flavor I grew up with the brown sugar and the cinnamon. So this is getting going good, and we still have 15 minutes. So you guys, why don't you come off mute and ask me some questions?
So are you going to share these recipes?
Yes, I will
Okay.
share the websites for them They are, over here. From, I guess I should give her credit. Who was this? I posted them on my Facebook page. I can't remember her name. It's not on the printout. But yeah, I will post the links for these two.
Okay.
But I just thought they, I don't know about you guys, but once you start posting recipes, Facebook starts popping up more recipes. So they just popped up and I thought, oh my gosh. And when I posted this butternut squash one on my Facebook, I got a lot of people commenting because it just looks so yummy. And I'm sure now that it's sitting here, it's kind of marinating a little bit better. Oh yeah. So you guys look at the colors on that. You're going to get the butternut squash, the green from the Brussels sprouts, the red from the cranberries. It's just going to, and then you got the crunch from the pecans.
Okay, keep rubbing it in.
This is my dinner. You know, amazingly, because I'm kind of a stickler for protein. I like to check and make sure that when we're eating, we're getting enough protein so we feel full at night or even any meal. I really make sure that there's protein in every meal. But amazingly, a serving of this is 472 calories, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the pasta and the sugar. But it has, where'd it go? Protein, 9 grams of protein. So it must be the pecans, I'm guessing, in there.
Yeah.
And if you really wanted to amp it up, you could buy the protein pasta, and then you would have even more. So if you use it as a side dish, not as big a deal. But my husband's still out of town, and my other kid won't eat this, who's home. So that's my dinner, because we leave town on Thursday, and I want to make sure it gets eaten and not wasted.
You mentioned that you'd been with Pampered Chef 12 years. So two
Yes.
questions always come to mind. Were you a great cook to start before you were a Pampered Chef consultant? And what would be your biggest, like, what do you value most about your Pampered Chef business?
Was I a great cook? So I grew up in a house where mom cooked everything, and mom was a really good cook. So I guess I was a fine cook. Okay. I wouldn't say I was a gourmet cook, but true to my analytical desires, I was a fast cook. I do not enjoy spending hours in the kitchen. I get frustrated and agitated very easily. So I would always try to find recipes that were fast, and that's not always easy to do. And when before I stopped working and we were both working, half the time Michael would cook. But we were a lot of times spaghetti and a jar of sauce, you know, we were both working. So then I had the kids, and the challenge became, how do you feed kids who decide that they don't like half of what you make? With Pampered Chef, I was able to speed up my meals, make prepping, eat healthier because I was prepping real ingredients. And then I became really good at deconstructing recipes. And so when my kid wouldn't eat what we had, I figured something that he would eat pieces of and gave him pieces of and then put it together. So I think Pampered Chef just enhanced what I had started with. Now mom comes to me for some recipe ideas. So that's pretty good. Now, pie crust and some of the staples and her recipes, she's still the master. What do I value the most about Pampered Chef? Connection and relationships, and on all levels, because for me, I do truly enjoy changing lives. And I love the fact that I can come into someone's home and show them that it's not complicated to cook. I can show them a couple recipes. I can explain to them the value of trying to eat at the table with their kids, because I think it's important, and we eat most of our meals together. So if I can explain that and help them figure that out, I've changed a life. If it's a matter of getting tools, I know some people think they're a terrible cook and it has nothing to do with their ability. It's their tools. Those pans they have get way too hot. They burn everything. So I now have the ability to do that. Or join the business. I promise you, you're going to get way more out of this than you really expected. All of us. I don't know if there's anybody on here who came in here and found exactly only what they came in here for. Most of us came in for something like I know there's people who came in to buy a couch, people who came in to get Christmas presents, some that just wanted a few of the products in the kit and decided to try a few parties. Some just wanted a little cash to pay some bills, never really expected to stick around. And it turned out to be way more than that. All of you on here I consider family. And so Pampered Chef has really blessed me in way more ways than I ever imagined. That was a really long answer. Sorry, Donna.
Oh, that's great.
So we're sizzling away over here with the apples. I'm going to see if I can turn them over. But these smell so good. Too bad none of you live close enough to come by. But they're going to get brown and caramely. And I'm going to have a great dinner and dessert. That's about all I got. What time we still doing good? Anybody else have any questions? Any questions on the tools I used or the recipes or anything else in general?
Yes, me. This probably has nothing to do with your tools, but the camera you're using, is someone behind it recording, or is one of those cameras that zoom on you as you're moving?
Yes. So this used to be called the Facebook portal. It's now Meta something. I don't know if they're still selling it or not. It is a bit frustrating because they changed technology on us, as Facebook and Meta tend to sometimes do. But it's called a portal. I like it because it's got a really big screen. It's so I can see all of you pretty well. And then, like you said, the camera follows me around and it has a wider view than just a regular camera. So you can look around and see. You have to use it through Zoom though. We used to be able to Facebook Live and they took that away. So if I'm going to do Facebook Live, I have to go through Zoom. Just an extra step, but I make it work. You're welcome, Thea. Anything else, guys? So you can see how these are getting rich, caramely, and dark. They're going to be so yummy. Do we have anybody on here who's not a consultant yet? Becky, do I have a favorite Pampered Chef recipe? Oh my goodness. After 12 years, I'm supposed to pick one.
I'll tell you, if you're not a consultant, you're going to be after Carolyn just got done talking to you.
One recipe. Oh my gosh. I think it might be down to some of my favorites are the pork tenderloin, barbecue pork tenderloin, or the fajitas in the microwave because of the speed and the flavor. Using our seasonings, and not to gross you guys out, but I actually cook them from raw in the microwave. I think when I started learning that I could actually cook in my microwave, my jaw hit the floor and I was all over that. And if you're in a hurry and you want fajitas on the table for your family, season the chicken the night before and cut up the onions and the bell peppers, throw them in the fridge. And when you get home, I put them in the rock crock, throw it in the microwave in about 12 minutes. So in about the time it takes you to go back and change your clothes, your dinner will be ready. Warm up some tortillas, throw on some shredded cheese, and you've got dinner. And that to me is amazing. And they really have a lot of flavor and they're tender and juicy. And I can't cook a pork tenderloin any other way. I always overcook them. And the microwave turns itself off so they don't get overcooked. I see Beverly's laughing. Yep. Because pork tenderloin goes from raw to shoe leather very quickly. So I'd rather just know how long to have the microwave turn itself off. Any other questions before we jump off? And consultants, we're going to go over to Nacho Call and talk with Crystal and Donna. Anything else? And I will post the recipes. Y'all like this? Who's going to be making these recipes this week?
I'm going to go make the apples now, I think, after the call.
Yes. I'll post them when I get on immediately so that they'll
Okay.
be there. It's so easy.
I'll be doing it.
I put them in the chat too, if y'all want to snag them out of the chat.
Yes. Thank you, Lori, so much for that.
Bye, Carolyn. I'm going
All
off.
right, guys. I'm going to throw the honey in here real quick. Let's see what happens. I turned the heat off. supposed to sizzle a little bit. Oh my gosh, y'all.
I'm definitely gonna do the recipe with the apples, but I'm gonna add a little bit of Jack Daniels to make them drunken apples.
Oh, now I like that. I like that idea. Okay, these are the sauce is thick. That honey just made all the difference too. So now it's like a syrup that they came off with them. Oh, yum. Okay. Now I got to go sit on the other call and then eat. Bye, y'all. Thank you for joining me.